Hello everyone, Jeff and Jay here with another edition of Jay's Big Adventure. Jay's the fuzzy one. Today we're talking about titles. When you find a car or a motorcycle that you want to buy, you found that vehicle that I think I can buy this, clean it up, do a little bit of work, make some money, that's great. Now it's actually time to purchase the car. One of the biggest places that people get hurt is on Titlework. And so I have a title here. This is for a motorcycle that I bought. This is actually one of the motorcycles that I physically flipped. And I've redacted the name and number. But you're going to look for several important things. One is the name of the title the name of the guy you're buying the motorcycle from? Okay, there are a whole bunch of ways to get in trouble with Titlework, and we'll go into more of that sort of thing on the next segment. But make sure that the guy that has the title is the guy that's selling the bike. You'd be surprised how many times you'll find out, well, it's not really my bike, I'm selling it for my buddy, and he just wanted me to do it because he doesn't have the time. Well, now if there's a problem with paperwork, you now have another layer of bullshit to get through to get that paperwork signed. One of the biggest ways that people screw up Titlework is the guy's name is Walter P. Smith, and he signs it Wally, or he'll sign it Walter Smith, or he'll sign it W. Smith, or he may go by Bob, who knows. But if the title does not exactly match letter for letter where you sign it on the title, I guarantee you your state license branch is going to kick that title, and now you've got to go back and do a whole bunch of paperwork. There's a form called a one and the same form where you can say, yes, Walter P. Smith really is Wally Smith. But it's a pain in the butt if the bike is being sold by his brother-in-law, who may be in a different state. All kinds of ways to get in trouble. The other thing is make sure that the title is to the vehicle that you're buying. Okay, I've gone to people's homes where they've had a bunch of Toyotas and they've physically given me the title to the wrong vehicle. They have the right title, but I've gone to buy a Corolla and they've given me the title of their minivan. Doesn't work. There's nothing you can do with it. It's a huge pain in the ass. So always verify by the VIN that it is the title to the vehicle that you're actually buying. The other thing to look at is, does the title say branded? Does it say salvage? Does it say flood? There's a whole bunch of ways you can go into that, and we'll talk about that in another section. But make sure that the title is actually a clean title, that there's no brand on it that says that it's been totaled and then rebuilt. The other thing that's really important is see if there is a lien on the vehicle. A lien means there's a loan on that car or motorcycle. That lien has to be paid before the license branch will title the vehicle in your name. So if there's a bank involved, it's not a problem. You just have to go to the bank where he has the vehicle, has the loan, pay the bank off, and then they will send you the title. Here's why I'll always go to the bank. If the vehicle you're buying is $5,000 and he owes $8,000 on it, you're not getting the title until he comes up with the other $3,000. So if you go to the bank, you can find out what is the payoff on the vehicle, and is the money that you're giving him enough to pay that off. If not, he has to take the rest of that money with you when you go to the bank to get the title, or it won't happen. And you'll give the guy $5,000 and you don't get a title, and now you can't resell the vehicle, and it's a huge pain again. So always make sure that the balance on the loan is less than what you're paying him for the bike. Also, I will give the money to the bank directly to make sure that that gets paid off. If you give the guy $5,000, there's no guarantee that he's going to use it to pay the car off. He may go do something else, and it's just, anytime lawyers get involved, you're done with that car deal. It's a pain. So protect yourself. Find out when you are looking at the car, ask him, is there a loan on the car? Is there a lien on the car? Is there a signed lien release? And what will happen is on the back, a lot of times, there will be a place where the bank can sign off and saying, yes, this vehicle had a loan on it, but it's been paid off. And so now the title is in his name. The lien has been released from the vehicle, and now it is okay to sell. That's fine, but you have to make sure that that signature is there. The other thing you're going to look for are the miles. And on this particular vehicle, it says that the vehicle is exempt from a mileage statement. Now, I try not to buy vehicles like that because the odometer is really important. If you're looking at a car that's got 100,000 miles on it and there's no odometer on the title, how long has he had the car? How many miles has he put on it? Those are now all put up into question. So if you've got a car that's got a known odometer, it'll help you try to track down what's going on. When you're looking at a car, you can look up Carfax or any one of the VIN search places, and a lot of times they will have a service history. Whenever that car has been in for service, whenever it's been titled or registered or emissions done, they put the miles down at that point, and it gives you a history of how many miles were on that car every year. If somebody has monkeyed with the odometer, it gives you a much better chance of catching it if you have a consistent mileage history throughout the life of the vehicle. A lot of the stuff that you're going to be buying is 20 years old. Well, if it's been getting 10, 11, 12,000 miles a year on the vehicle, and it goes 5 years and only 2,000 miles were put on the car, now I want to know why. It doesn't mean that it's not accurate, but did the odometer stop working? Was the gauge cluster replaced? Now I want to look and do a little bit further research to find out there's been a very consistent mileage pattern, and right before I bought it, something has changed. Also, if the odometer obviously is less than what was on the last service visit, that's an issue. If you title the car and you write on the title fewer miles than what was on it in the database, that will kick what's called a mileage discrepancy brand on the title, and that really hurts the value of your vehicle. So I don't care if it's 1 mile. If you're going in to get the car registered and they say, what's the odometer? And you think it's about 59,850, don't do it. Go out, put the key in the ignition, look at the odometer and get the exact miles, because if you make that mistake, it's just a big pain in the butt to fix, and it can hurt the value of the car or the motorcycle. So always make sure that when you get the car registered or worked on, when they ask you what the miles are at the station, make sure that you give them the actual miles that are on the car when you turn the car or the motorcycle off. One more thing that you want to look for on titles is, does it need to be notarized? Some states you have to have any title transaction notarized, which means the person that is selling the vehicle has to be there when the signature is put on the piece of paperwork. Now, if you're buying something that is out of state or they moved in from out of state, this again can be a huge additional bunch of steps if you don't know what you're doing. So make sure before you take that title that you look to see, is there a place that says notary? If there's a notary signature required, if he signs it and you don't have that stamp, I guarantee you that the license branch is going to kick that title and make you go back. Weird things happen, people moving, hey, I'm leaving the state, I've got to get this vehicle sold, I'll take a cheap price for it, which is good for you. You go get the title, get the car, they leave to wherever it is they're moving to, and then you find out there's additional paperwork. That's a big problem. One last caveat on titles. When you're bringing in a vehicle from out of state, almost all states will require you to have a police check done on the vehicle. Sometimes that can be done at the license branch. You'll take the vehicle to the license branch. Somebody from inside will actually walk out and verify that the VIN on the title matches the VIN on the vehicle. Sometimes you actually have to take it to a police station and there's another form that has to be filled out. One thing that's really important to understand in your state is, can I legally drive the car there? If you drive an illegally registered car to the police station to have the VIN check done, yeah, fill in the blanks, okay? If the cops want to have a field day with you, they can impound the car, they can do all kinds of stuff to make this a really difficult transaction, so don't go there. If you find out that you cannot drive the car or the motorcycle until you get a temporary tag, then you take the title, you go down to the license branch or the DMV, get a temporary registration, take that back, and now you're legal for typically 2 weeks. It may just be a few days, but whatever that time frame is, now you've got a chance to go get that vehicle properly registered and titled. The other thing that is really important is you have to have insurance to drive it on the street. Now, if you have full coverage insurance on a vehicle that you already own, in most states you are already covered for typically 30 days as an umbrella policy over your old vehicle before you have to get insurance on this vehicle. So this comes down to how fast do you think you're going to flip the car. If you're going to do it in less than a month, legally you are always required to register that vehicle with your insurance company. There is some gray area during that 30 days. If you can flip it in 30 days, that's, you can go ahead and do that. But be very careful, because if you get stopped and you don't have insurance on that vehicle, raises a bunch of red flags, and a lot of times then the cops will take a closer look at the vehicle, and it's just that kind of scrutiny is not something that you want. So be careful. Learn the laws in your state. In Indiana, I could take any license plate that I owned, have the registration for the old car with the license plate with me, have the paperwork for the purchase of the new vehicle, and I was completely legal for a month. Okay, here in Utah, I can't do that. So be very, very careful if you're starting to skirt around the edges of the law, because if you get caught, it can be really difficult. Because if they impound the vehicle, you can't drive it to get it registered and smogged, because you can't legally drive the car, but you can't get the car out of impound without a proper license and registration. Trying to deal with two different agencies that have two different rules is a really good way to waste a whole bunch of your time and money. So way better off to just do it properly to begin with.